Expanding cloud environments, completing infrastructure, and tool sprawl flood teams with logs, metrics, and traces, which means telemetry is vital but hard to manage. Use OpenTelemetry, now the industry standard for data collection, as a listener in Onum to centralize all your telemetry data, and then send it to various monitoring logs using the OpenTelemetry Data Sync. In this use case, we are working with an e-commerce shop. Each of the product services in the shop generates specific telemetry datasets that we want to send to different monitoring services. We are sending metrics to Prometheus, traces to Jaeger, and logs to Elastic. We want to centralize and analyze all this data, and we will define a pipeline that forwards all our data to the required service. Users who want to integrate OpenTelemetry with Onum need to configure the OpenTelemetry collector or agent to start sending data to Onum. To do this, you must configure the following YAML file in your OpenTelemetry collector. In the Exporters section, you must define whether you want to use gRPC or HTTP and add the distributor endpoint. Then, in the Service section, you must indicate again if you're using gRPC or HTTP in the Exporters parameter. Once the collector is configured, you need to set the OpenTelemetry listener in Onum using this data. Configure the OpenTelemetry listener, give it a name, and allow both HTTP and gRPC configurations. Then enter the required sending ports in the gRPC port and HTTP port parameters. Optionally, enter any additional information, or if you don't need any, set everything to false and click Create Labels to define any required labels. When we have created the listener, we have it ingesting data from OpenTelemetry, and we need to define the data sync for each type of data we want to analyze. For our metrics, you need an OpenTelemetry data sync that sends them to your Prometheus instance. You need to set the protocol to HTTP and enter the required endpoint or port in the endpoint and port parameters. Set Send Metrics to True. Enter the required path in the HTTP metrics path parameter and any additional information, or if not, leave everything false. For your traces, you need an OpenTelemetry data sync that sends them to your Jaeger service. Configure it as followed. Setting Send Traces to True. For your logs, however, you need an HTTP data sync that sends the data to your Elastic service. Select HTTP and click Configuration. Simply give it a name and save, as further configuration will be required once you add this data sync to your pipeline. Now we can start creating our pipeline. Drag the configured OpenTelemetry listener you created before into the pipeline canvas. Add a conditional action to extract each of the 3 data sets we want to get from our source data. To do this, we add 3 ports. A metrics port to filter data that includes the resource metrics literal. A traces port to filter data that includes the resource spans literal. A logs port to filter data that includes the resource logs literal. Click Save and link your OpenTelemetry listener to the conditional action. Now we need to drag to the canvas the data syncs created previously to send each dataset to its specific analytics service and link them to the conditional action as follows. The metrics port to the Prometheus sync, and the traces port to the Jaeger sync. For the logs, we need a couple of additional steps. First, link the logs port of the conditional action to a message builder action. to configure it to extract only the raw field. Now we have the raw field, we link the message builder action to the Elastic Sync. Double-clicking it allows us to enter the following: choosing post as the HTTP method, entering the required URL to send the data, and in message we choose the field generated by the message builder. We also select application JSON as the content type. Now all we need to do is click publish and your datasets will be sent to each specific service so you can start analyzing them. You'll find more information and videos throughout our documentation to guide you on how to use Onum.